Hello, Big Reds. This is Mr. Fischel again. We're up to exam review video part 3. Parts that are important on the exam. Remember, make sure you watch parts 1 and part 2 before you get to part 3. Part 3, we're continuing. We're writing an equation through point C parallel to AB. Okay, so first of all, we need to figure out two things. We have the point that we're going through, and we need to figure out the slope of this line. Okay, get slope is equal to change in y over change in x, or as you guys like to think of it sometimes as rise over run, but change in y over change in x. So if I'm looking at the change in y, it's going from 2 to 9, so it's going up 7. That's the y value. And the change in x going from 2 to 7, so it's going up 5. So slope of this line is going to be 7 over 5. All right, and then next we want to go through this point, and the point is the point 7, 1. So these are the things that we need to know. All right, now I'm going to move this up. So we're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. We use the y value, which is 1, slope, which is 7 over 5, and the x value, which is 7, plus b, and we don't know what rb is. We have to solve for rb. So I can multiply this on my calculator. Take 7/5 times 7, which is going to give me 49 over 5 plus b. Now to get b by itself, I subtract 49 over 5 on both sides. When I do that, I get b is equal to a negative 44 over 5. So my equation, my new equation is going to be y equals, I keep the same equation, or same slope, sorry, which is y equals 7 over 5x, and I keep my b value I just solved for, which is minus 44 over 5. And I can write that as a decimal too at the end, that's fine, but I like to keep this slope as a fraction. So this would be your answer right here. Okay, now things change a little bit. Now, I've got the same point, same slope. I'm going to keep the same slope, which is 7 over 5, and the same point, which is 7, 1. Now, what I want to do is I want to make something perpendicular. To be perpendicular, I can't use the same slope. I got to use the opposite reciprocal of this slope. It means the slope I'm going to use is going to be, I'm going to take the reciprocal, which is flip these two, so I get 5 over 7, and I'm going to make a negative. Okay, so I'm going to cross this out because I'm no longer going to use this. This is the slope I'm going to use now. So my equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. Y is 1, slope is negative 5/7, and the x value is 7. Multiply these together. When I do that, I get 1 equals negative 5 plus b. To get rid of the negative 5, I add 5 to each side. Get b equals 6. So my equation perpendicular is y equals negative 5/7 x plus 6. This is my answer here. Remember, you could see both time, my last two problems, I had the same line segment and the same point. However, when it's perpendicular, I have to take the opposite reciprocal of the slope instead of using the same slope. All right, going through these. Whoop. A few more examples. If you want extra help, you can see Mr. Fischel as well for the exam. Right now, we want to find the perimeter and area of this triangle. Use Pythagorean theorem for the slanted side. So in this case, to get the perimeter, I have to figure out the lengths of all these sides. Well, I know the length of AB is going to be 3. It's 3 units. Length of AC is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces here. To get the slanted side, I have to use Pythagorean theorem. So I take 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. When I do that, I get 9 plus 16 equals c squared, or 25 equals c squared. To Take square root, get c equals 5. So this length is 5. Perimeter is when I add together all these sides. So I take 3 plus 4 plus 5, and that's going to give me 12 units. Area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. In this case, I have 4 times 3 divided by 2, which is 6 square units. The square when you're talking about area, 12, or regular units when you're talking about perimeter or length. All right, congruent triangles, very important stuff, okay? So it's important to read the stuff that's on the side here. It says BC is congruent to CD. So BC is congruent to CD. We'll have to mark this. By the reflexive property, the side in the middle is congruent to itself. So now if you look at one triangle at a time, which is easiest to look at, you can see I have an angle and 2 sides, and the angles between the 2 sides. So these are congruent by side, angle, side. And if I'm to write a congruent statement, I'd write triangle BCA. It doesn't matter which order I start them with, as long as if I'm starting with B, the other one's going to start with D, and C is going to go in the same spot as C, and then A is going to go in the same spot as A. Now if I check it, see BC has 1 mark, DC has 1 mark, CA has 2 marks, CA has 2 marks. The letters that have the same marks are going to be in the same position, corresponding parts. All right, how are these two triangles going to be congruent? Well, we have sides that are marked already, and then the side in the middle is congruent as well. So these are congruent by side, side, side. All right, if I'm going to write a congruent statement, I might write triangle EHG is congruent to triangle EFG. Notice E's are in the same position, H and F are in the same position, and the G's are in the same position. These triangles, how are they going to be congruent? Well, you can see these angles are already marked congruent, these sides are marked congruent, and you have vertical angles in the middle. I'm going to mark congruent. So if you look at just this triangle right here, it's going to be angle, side, angle. So it's going to be angle, side, angle. Perimeter. So if we want to do find perimeter of this rectangle right here, first of all, we have to find the lengths of the sides. And since they're on slants, we have to use Pythagorean theorem. So right here, I'll make a right triangle. Notice this triangle is over 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get the length of this side, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. I get 9 plus 16 equals c squared. Add these two together, get 25 equals c squared. Take square root, c equals 5. So this side length is going to be 5. We know in a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent, so this side is also going to be 5. Do the same thing with this side. Make a right triangle. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So use 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. When I do that, it's 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. You get 100 equals c squared. Don't forget to take square root, so c equals 10. So this side is 10. This side must also be 10. So to get perimeter is equal to adding up all the sides. So it's going to be 5 plus 5 plus 10 plus 10, which would give me 30 units. That is the perimeter of this rectangle. Okay. Now we're going to one last part of the review video coming up.